Do the thing you fear to do and keep on doing it. That is the quickest and surest way ever yet discovered to conquer fear. Dale Carnegie. Hey, it's Brad Ross from BradCoachMe.com, and you're back for Lesson 4 of your 7-day e-coaching course. Now today, we're going to be diving into an area where many people refuse to step foot. Almost every person who has ever achieved their dream or a major goal in life has at some point had to face fear. Fear is an inevitable component of personal growth. What's most important to understand is that fear does not have to paralyze you or prevent you from experiencing the fullness that life has to offer, in life, in general, or in business. Now, why must we face our fears, you may be asking? Well, in order to achieve anything new in life, we have to be willing to change our actions so that we can produce new and improved results. But anytime we introduce change into our life, we move out of our comfort zone, and the byproduct is typically some form of fear. Now, if we don't understand what fear is and why we experience it, our natural reaction would be to retreat from the new, uncomfortable change and revert back into our comfort zone. Think about it as a baby. When a baby first learns to walk, well, they've got to start to crawl, and then they get up and they start to walk, and then they fall. If they were afraid to fall, they would never learn to walk. But they don't have that preconceived notion that they should be afraid of falling or they're going to hurt themselves. They just get up and start to walk, and then they fall and, oh, I start to cry. But they continue trying it because they're determined. It's part of our natural instincts. See, when this happens, many people become stuck. If you want to liberate yourself from the shackles of fear and step into new and exciting places in your life, your journey must begin with awareness. You must become aware of what fear truly is so you can identify it and ultimately move through it. The first thing that you should take into account is that fear is a reaction that the brain produces when it senses pending danger. It is actually a very beneficial emotion. Why? Because it keeps us alive in potentially really dangerous situations. The unfortunate part of fear is that over the years, we've been conditioned to associate fear with other non-life-threatening events. For example, you may be driving along the highway when someone swerves and cuts you off. Well, you quickly hit the brakes to avoid a collision. That's a good thing. And at the time of the incident, the physical sensations that are rushing in throughout your body could be extremely powerful. Heart pounding, shaky hands, knees knocking, a little lightheadedness, a pit in the bottom of your stomach. Well, when it comes to personal fears, if you're afraid of public speaking or messing up in front of a large group of people, well, that experience, during that experience, the same physical effects when you walk into that room or walk onto that stage in front of all these people to deliver that presentation or start your show, well, you may feel that pit in the bottom of your stomach, the sweaty hands, the lightheadedness, you may become nauseous. What's the difference between the first scenario, the car swerving you and all those sensations, and a personal fear like getting up in front of people and public speaking? The difference? One situation could mean physical harm, God forbid even death. The other situation, at worst, would result in maybe a little short-lived embarrassment. Now, while the two situations are at opposite poles and in terms of consequence of severity, they're completely separate from one another, our bodily reaction is almost identical. It's kind of weird. When it boils down to it, it's not so much that fear stops people, it's the physical feelings that are produced by fear that really stops people. With this new awareness, now that you are acknowledging this and hopefully thinking about this, the wheels are turning in your mind, you're now in a position where you're able to take bigger actions and play out bigger areas of your life. As Susan Jeffers points out in her bestseller, you can feel the fear, just do it anyway. Why? Because you understand exactly what's happening. You can accept it, and that it's completely a normal reaction. Don't worry about eliminating fear, it's not going to go anywhere. Just focus on taking the necessary actions toward your goals and your dreams in spite of fear. Now it's time for our lessons. Lessons 4. Got a couple exercises here, and the first one begins with you taking your breakthrough goal as well as any short-term or long-term goals, and I want you to write down any fears that you have regarding each particular area of interest. So you can do this for your giant, no-holds-barred goal, your long-term goals, your short-term goals, and write down next to them the fears, if any, that associate with these goals. Is it fear of success? Is it fear of embarrassment? Is it fear of not succeeding? What are the fears associated with each of these goals? Go ahead and write those down, and then we'll come back for the next exercise. Okay, you're back. So you wrote down each of those fears. Now that you've identified them, I want you to break them down and figure out the worst case scenario. In fact, I recently read a book called Worst Case Scenario, and it's fun with all kinds of interesting little scenarios and that make you feel really good about your own personal situations when you see what's the worst that could possibly happen. And that's exactly what you're going to do in this goal. What's the worst thing that can possibly happen next to each of these fears? You see, a lot of time, we may feel a rush or a fear of intimidation when considering taking certain actions, so we don't even bother pursuing the goal. For example, let's use that generic example of fear of public speaking. The worst thing that can happen is you go blank. You mess up the illusion that you're performing on stage. You experience a little bit of embarrassment, and most people are probably going to be really forgiving and empathetic to you in that situation. No big deal. So go ahead and write down what's the worst thing that could possibly happen to you in these goal-setting actions. Go ahead and do that now, and we'll come back for number 3. All right, here we go. Ask yourself, is the potential reward of taking this action worth the apparent risk of that worst case scenario? If you're truly honest with yourself, the answer will almost always be yes, because that shows your true passion. If the potential reward of learning how to speak in public results in you doubling your business sales, would it not be worth the risk of facing your public speaking fears in order to reach a new level of success in your business? Well, in the words of Harv Eker, if it's not going to kill you, do it. That's it for today. I will see you right back here on day number 5 for Developing Your Mind. I'm Brad Ross for BradCoachMe.com, saying do what you love and love what you do. Go out there and do it.